States. We're live. If you join me in the flag salute, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight, Bourbon County Commission meeting, August 30th. Some of you don't know, I'm Commissioner Jim Harris, Clifton Beth, Nelson Bly. If you're ready, Susan?
Yeah.
We will open up the public hearing for the revenue neutral rate.
This is an opportunity for the public to be able to give the commission comments about the exceeding the revenue neutral rate. That's really all we're talking about tonight. And so you have to have a separate hearing from your budget hearing on that. And that is basically saying that the state has a formula that you basically will not exceed the amount of taxes that you levied for in the prior year. And the county is proposing that we actually do, because we have some unfunded things that we need to do some increases on. One's insurance, and the other is for some things going on upstairs with county attorney and district court. So I do have, I talked to Commissioner Harris about looking for an area where we might be able to drop the levy that we had proposed when I did the last budget thing, and there is a way that we can, but if we do this, it will be forever. So that's one thing that I want to just drive home, is that we're going to use some sales tax dollars to maybe fund some operations, and by doing that, you could reduce what you were proposing by, I think it was 1.2 mils. And so I just want to pass that around before we open it up for comments. What this would do is we were proposing that we would do a 62.51 mill levy. This would lower it to 61.25, and your revenue neutral rate is 59.907. And so if you were to take this recommendation, it could reduce, we would have a reduction in the mill levy since 2019 of 5.36 mils.
Is that 2.6 or 3.6?
5.36,
Okay.
if you take this recommendation. And since 2019, that would mean that you have increased property taxes. You've levied for about $114,000 more in property taxes to cover expenses. So I'll pass this around so that you have a copy of that.
Thank you.
And then what this would do is we would take $150,000 going on until the sales tax falls off in 2035 to help fund operations in the jail and public safety. And so I'll pass that around so you can kind of see the impact. It still allows us to have enough cash flow to be able to do other projects if needed.
It's hard to hear anything. You said 2035 or 2025?
2035 is when the sales tax drops off.
Well, that's not the, I have documentation that sales tax drops off 2025. 10 years after April the 15th. Of 2017.
I've been told it's
2015.
you have debt service to 2035, so I would
But
have
we
to.
don't have a sales tax till after April the 15th, 2015.
Do you have that documentation with you?
I do have it with you, and I planned on speaking to it in
Okay.
my comments.
May I see it?
Yes.
Ashley, can you pull that for me? The jail sales tax? Your debt service is till
We seem to have a
2035.
problem coming up with ballot questions around here, so I even brought the ballot.
Jail sales tax.
Are you ready for questions yet, Susan?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Cauterized in KSA 12, 187
Okay.
is the
Michael?
Bourbon County. Well, you asked
No,
me.
I
You
would
want me to
like,
bring this up now or
no,
later?
No.
I want her to finish her
I wanna- yeah.
presentation, then
Well,
you can
then I-
have the floor.
Then I'll have all this back.
Justin?
Yeah, you might want to be in here.
I just got the chairman took care of it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Susan.
So with this, from what I've been, your debt service goes till 2035. So if sales tax will have to be renewed, then we'll have to determine that at that point. I do not have that in front of me to speak to that fact. However, if you reduce this, it'll be $150,000. Once that sales tax is off the rolls, then you will have to levy at that time for those expenses. So this is just a fix for temporary, if you're wanting to reduce the levy right now.
Yeah.
So
Or if
I'll
we-
pass this around as well.
Or we was to have growth, we might make that sales tax up. with
Yes,
growth.
that is correct.
So, I hope.
Yep, that whole stack. But this just kind of gives you kind of a outlook of how we would do that. Thank you.
For you folks that didn't hear Susan early on, her proposal is that the county drop the mill levy 1.2 this year. And since 2019, that would be a drop of 5.36 mills in county taxes since 2019. I'm pretty proud of that. So go ahead, Susan.
That's really all I have. So this is really to open it up for public
Okay.
comments for the commission.
Michael, you have the floor.
I'm not here to speak about revenue neutral.
Okay, okay,
I'm here to speak about the jail sales tax.
Okay.
Not going to 2035.
okay. That'd be a different topic then.
Okay.
Okay. Open it up to the public, please, for any comments. Again, if you have any questions, she's proposing we drop, and we'll have a budget hearing in a few weeks. This is just a revenue neutral hearing. She's proposing we drop 1.2 mills, which is outstanding for what we've had to face for unfunded mandates. And since 2019, I'm gonna say it again, 'cause I'm really proud of it, the county has dropped taxes 5.36 mills. So, okay, now open up the floor, please. Yes, Mr. Walker.
Yeah, there you go. Only a couple things. Number one, it doesn't matter who's sitting in those chairs out there, and it doesn't matter about your county assessor. It's not his fault. They are bound by rules and regulations and law that you will take and bring your property values up to 90% of what it's worth. And that didn't get on the radio. If people knew that, they may not get beat up as bad. And as far as keeping taxes not going up, yes, it's nice the mill levy went down, but anybody who looks at their tax bill will always see that, yes, you're paying more than you did last year. And it's hard to keep it
Yeah,
down there.
yeah.
And the last thing I'll say about taxes is this, and keeping taxes down, is being able to spend tax wisely to keep it down. I guess there is one other thing, and no matter what you're gonna do, expenses, as we can see, has just went through the roof. And that's all I'm gonna say about all that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We do buy a lot of fuel, and a lot of oil, and if anyone in the room doesn't think that's went up the last 12, 14 months, our diesel cost is outrageous, but we're still getting things done. There was overland today, so thank you, Mr. Walker, pointing out things do go up.
I've got a question for Susan, actually, if she. So here it says increase of $114,904 since 2019. Is that like
So if you take
increase
this.
of all the taxpayers,
No.
like put together, or what?
So we levy a certain dollar amount every year.
Mm-hmm.
And that levy since 2019, if you take this reduction, the 1.2, if you take that reduction, you will have increased the only $114,000 more to operate since 2019. So that's what, about $20,000 a year. And as fuel and things have gone up, insurance costs have gone up. So what we are doing is using some of those sales tax dollars. We're taking advantage of some of those sales tax dollars to help fund some of the operations in other areas, which would be your jail.
And really, that tells me our department heads are operating smartly, efficiently, because you think 114,000 over a 3 or 4 year period, he has spent that much more in just fuel costs this year. So we have people that's doing a good job watching tax dollars. Go ahead.
Does that make sense? It's not spread over, I mean, yes, it would be spread over everybody because that's how much money you're generating for the county based on taxes. Any other questions?
Molly, did you have another question?
Well, not really a question. I know the people that came here, some of them anyway, I'm not sure if they exactly get what's going on, because I know I don't 100% get it either. But I think basically you got to decide that if we were to go the revenue neutral rate, we'd be cutting out $311,000. I think that's what she had said. But if we didn't, then the way I'm looking at it is property taxes will go up. And I know they go up every year, but I think this will be an additional kind of spike in property taxes. So it's pretty much, it's up to the public to decide what they want to do. If they're willing to get $311,000 cut from the county budget, you know, one way to look at it, the less money the county is levying, that means the more money that taxpayers are keeping. But there's also services can be lost too. So it's really, it's up to the people.
Pardon me?
Do what?
So you're gonna force me to talk?
Well, we're not forcing you, but you're welcome to.
First off, we don't get to vote on whether they go revenue neutral or exceed the revenue neutral rate. You guys do.
Voice your opinion.
Yeah,
That's
we
why
get
people
to
are
do
here.
that every election. But at 3 o'clock this afternoon, I tapped on the window next door here to see if there were any documents that I would be able to look at beforehand. And 5 seconds ago, I'm pretty sharp, if I do say so myself. But I couldn't digest all this today. When did you get this?
Well, I got the first draft last meeting.
But it's obviously changed.
It was at the work session.
When was that work session? On the 19th? Why wasn't this available then?
It was.
All of it?
Yes.
It was
You
not.
weren't here. You weren't here. It was here.
Oh, you know I wasn't here.
Yes, I
Well,
do
I'm
know
glad
you were not here.
I'm glad you're aware of that.
And,
I got it.
and Darryl got a copy
Did
of
you
it.
get it offline?
What?
No, she was
Okay,
here.
that's what I asked you all at the very beginning of this process. Put this available to us online. I may not have been here, but I was trying to listen at home, and we know how good the YouTube and the microphones have been working. Not.
Okay.
Right? So put this online so we can get it in advance. Take it in.
Okay.
You criticize us, Mr. Beth, in the newspaper. Now, I believe every word that's written in the Fort Scott Tribune, okay? I'll read it to you.
This is.
Does this have anything to do with the revenue
So-
hearing?
It can.
Hearing?
It can.
If
Well,
I,
if
if I,
it is or it isn't. It has to
So-
do with this hearing.
all this is talking about right now is not the budget, adoption of the budget.
Right,
It's
right.
the exceeding the revenue neutral
Yeah,
rate.
which is very confusing from this article that was in the paper on Saturday. The Bourbon County Commission are looking at a flat mill levy, but would have to cut $300,000 out of the budget in order to be revenue neutral.
That's not a correct statement.
Okay, I believe everything that's printed in the Fort Scott Tribune, but it says it right here. You want to see it?
No, I believe that
Okay.
you believe everything in there, but I learned all time ago people do make
Commissioners and
mistakes.
other
so-
county officials discussed the situation during a budget work session.
Is the session open to the public right now? Have you
He's
Yes,
opened the
Susan
hearing.
opened it up to the, yeah, we opened it up to the public, yeah, we did. And it has to do with revenue neutral at this hearing, and we'll talk about something else later if you want to.
During a budget work session, August 19th, at the courthouse.
Okay?
Now, do you remember what the YouTube looked like? We had a frozen picture on August the 19th. We didn't even know if Commissioner Beth was in the room.
Well, keep in mind that YouTube is a courtesy. We don't have to do it.
Okay, but if it's a courtesy, then you better make sure your written minutes include every statement, and they don't. Anything that's spoken out of this back door or out of this audience is not picked up on here because you're not talking as loud as I am directly into this microphone. And it's a problem not only here, but at the city.
Okay.
When 50% of the discussion goes on at that door or in these seats and cannot be heard on this microphone, it's not part of the record. Because Ashley's, I could see her writing. I couldn't see her that day. She's depending upon this audio recording.
Okay.
So it's more than a courtesy, Mr. Harrison. I really resent the fact that you consider
Well,
this a courtesy
And we-
because it
just-
came to be.
No, wait a minute. Well,
There's
this is
no
revenue
law that
neutral.
says we have to do it.
There's none. You're
We're
right.
getting- we're getting
Absolutely.
away
So
from-
if it's not going to work, we should throw it out.
We're getting away from the purpose of this hearing.
Turn it off, Shane.
Yep, done.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience? Yes, sir.
You know, I would say, I had some thoughts today, and I thought about this. At the meeting we had in Mapleton, you guys said that there were debts that you weren't collecting. You're $312,000 short is the way I understand it. How much does people owe the county? And the ambulance bills, tax bills, the whole 9 yards. If a guy would go to collecting that, you might make up this 312. And also, we all know everything costs money right now, big time. And you're raising rates, we've got inflation, and we're either in a recession or we got one foot in it right now. So by raising rates, what are you doing to the people out here breaking their neck, trying to pay their bills, pay them on time, do without this so I can pay this? You're putting a hurt on those people. And I also saw a deal, and I'm like him on the newspaper. I saw a deal on the news the other night where 50% of the lower people, the lower half, was getting wealthier. I saw that. Now, there's a question that comes to my mind, why?
Sure.